Hello everyone, now it's Nick here. If you've seen the first roundup of these, Amiga Games 1 to 50, it'd be no surprise to see this second video here, Amiga Games Reviewed 51 to 100. So let's have another trip down memory lane. Hopefully there's a few games that you remember from yesteryear or still play today. Turbo Outrun. Now none of the arcade conversions of Outrun were that good in my opinion on the Commodore Amiga. Outrun Europa, which we'll come to, wasn't a conversion and that was pretty decent compared to the other two. But they suffer from frame rate really. Look at this judder around all over the shop. There are better versions on other computers, it is sad to say. But you're in the Ferrari with a lady by your side and you're just driving around through checkpoints really to get to the end. Pretty lackluster this one. Street Fighter 2. I played this a lot. I really loved this game as a kid. Come on 4 discs. It's Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior. Really liked it until I saw it on other computers and it done the job a bit better. Good fighters a bit few and far between on the Commodore Amiga, but this was okay back in the day really. They done a pretty good effort with it. It's a disc swapping nightmare though, I'd have to say. Come on Chun-Li, she's my favourite versus Dull Sim, the yoga weirdo. Hybris, a pretty standard shooter, but better than most. It moves quite well. Good, movement. It's better than Xenon 1, but not as good as Xenon 2 in my opinion there. Now, the sequel was Battle Squadron, which we also reviewed a bit later, but lots moving on the screen. It's quite good, but nothing's making it stand out really. Kaboom, as I always say in shoot 'em ups when I run out of stuff to say. A couple of games that weren't actually physically released, they come out on Amiga cover disc from magazines. This is Sensible Worlds of Moon Soccer, so everything's the same except this time you're on the moon. Sometimes the ball moves a bit weirdly and there's craters there, but it plays exactly the same. They've given away quite a lot of the game actually for free on a disc. I don't know why they tended to do that, but it was in a time where people tended to buy the game anyway. Did they, or were they all copying? But Moon Soccer, it's just about silly enough to work. Another cover disc, Tanks. It's turn-based this, you control your elevation and your firepower, and the aim is on this random terrain to destroy your opponent's tank before they blow you up. Now I spent quite a lot of time on this one, there's not too much to it. There was an evolution a bit later on called Scorch Tanks, which we'll also come to in this 51 to 100 roundup. Am I going to hit him? Probably not. Ooh, that was close. Player Manager, it used the kickoff engine by Anko and Dino Dini, but this time you buy and sell players on the transfer market, select your lineup, and then you play the game in real time. There is an option I should say, to let the computer control the actual games, but that's a bit boring. So you might as well play it yourself really. Unlimited seasons. I remember being Player Manager running onto the pitch age about 120. Yes. Chase HQ. Nothing like the arcades, but it's fun nonetheless. It's not a brilliant game, but you have to chase this felon here and smash his car to shreds and then pull him in. But yeah, it's of an era this one. Don't compare it to the arcades because it won't compare very well. But I wouldn't have been too depressed if I had it as a kid. Had it a little bit later on. It's alright, but not brilliant. Lemmings! And I've already mucked up this level as you can see. But it's a super puzzle game, shifted loads and loads and loads of copies, but you must guide all your lemmings to a safe exit. And if you muck up like I have, probably blow them all up with this nuke button instead. Lemmings, maybe the top puzzle game of all time. Had Oh No More Lemmings on a data disc later on as well, and also a sequel, Lemmings 2, as I just committed genocide there, don't tell anyone. Operation Wolf, also from the arcades. Now, this game's controlled on the mouse here. I was never that good at it, as you can tell, but basically shoot everyone. The arcade you had an actual gun rather than a mouse. Something is a bit lost by using a mouse on a computer. The gun in the arcade you was actually in war, but various levels you have to free hostages and just don't die. Don't even think about dying. Just kill everyone else. The Blood Money by Psygnosis. Another of really difficult shoot 'em ups. But cool graphics again, quite benign music. You can control a helicopter in this stage, but there's options to control a submarine somewhere else, a spaceship, and even a man in a spacesuit. Not bad. Reminds me of Monty Python, that graphics, of the helicopter at least. Never completed it. Big surprise. Comment below if you had any of these games. This is a nostalgia trip as we look at Buggy Boy. Arcade conversion on the Commodore Amiga. It works okay. The ZX Spectrum version of this, the buggy was way too big, but this one's nice and colourful. Nice and gentle. I like it. Avoid everything. Go under the flags. Pick up extra time. It's a good game. It's not that advanced. It doesn't really stand up against Lotus Street Turbo Challenge or anything, but good fun nonetheless. Doodaloo. The sky is orange. Whoops. Sequel to Operation Wolf, Operation Thunderbolt. Now the big flaw of this game is you've got no crosshairs. Yes, that's pretty basic, although you do get them later on, and there is a cheat to get them early, but that ruins the game for me. It's a nice idea, this perspective going down the road, but where is the gun sight? You only see it when you shoot. Absolutely terrible idea. Really ruins the game. Yes, boom kaboom kablamo on this one. Microprose Soccer, the first football game, I think, or one of the first ones I played. Although it is published by Microprose, the coding is done by Sensible Software, who later went on to do the magnificent Sensible Soccer. So they got their cut their teeth on this one. It moves quite slow. This tackling's pretty tricky, but you do get a nice little tune if you score a goal. There we go. A nice little tune there. Moonstone. This is a bit of a cult favourite from a lot of people. I think there's websites set up about it. Very much looks like it's animated on deluxe paint, but you're going round this realm as one of 4 knights, and you must slay beasts, trade, and basically kill everything. But I'm looking like a bit of a Wally here. Again, it's Monty Python-esque. As this thing's eventually going to kill me, isn't it? Moonstone. A good name, actually. I like it. Chase HQ2, an evolution from the first game. And this one you've actually got a gun. The frame rate is slightly better, although still lacking of Lotus Esprit, which I judge all Amiga racing games by. But the aim is the same. You must destroy your crooks, disable their car and pull them in. Not bad. Better than Chase HQ1, but still not perfect. Right, that helicopter's giving me missiles. Now there's actually loads and loads and loads of football games on the Commodore Amiga. This is at Italy 1990, and this is by far the easiest. As we see here, as I'm going to score a goal straight away. Nice jolly game, this one. So if you're rubbish at all football games, then pick Italy 1990, because you'll feel like a genius on this one. Good stuff, lots of teams to pick, based on the football, well, the World Cup. I scored again. It's based on the World Cup of 1990. Tennis Cup. If you had a megabyte, the umpire would announce the scores each time, but I think I'm doing this without the megabyte upgrade. Moves quite well. Split screen hampers it a little bit. You can't do full screen on the single player mode. I think Tennis Cup 2 corrected this. But lots of moves, it plays quite well. It's a good game all in all, very underrated. Double Dragon. Arcade conversion, and this is absolutely hopeless. The sounds sound like someone bashing a nail into a bit of plywood. Graphics nothing like the arcade game. It's atrocious. Avoid this one like the plague. Double Dragon 2 and Double Dragon 3 also came out on the Amiga, and they gradually did get better, thank goodness. But yeah, nothing good can be said of this one. If you like it, comment below, but you know, hopeless. Kickoff Extra Time. This was a new evolution from the first Kickoff game and built off the Kickoff football engine. Genius was later improved for Kickoff 2 and slightly a bit more, well, beforehand for Player Manager. But I love all these Kickoff games. Dino, Dini and Cody really good. They were geniuses as far as I'm concerned. Haven't played Player Manager 2 yet in the review, so that might come later on down the line. Dragon Ninja from the arcades. Bad dude something or other. It's not bad this, it flickers slightly, can't really compare it to the arcade game. Much more fun in 2-player. The music is good. It's not bad. It's a good effort, I think. I think about 5 or 6 levels and end of level bosses each time, which are quite varied. Loads and loads and loads of people to fight at the same time. Look at this mob, although you can just kick them all in the face and they all line up quite appropriately. Outrun Europa, the best of the outruns in my opinion, and it's the only outrun that wasn't converted from the arcades. You start off on a motorbike, next stage you in a Porsche and then a Ferrari and then boats as well, so it's a really good idea. Great frame rate on this one compared to the first 2 outruns, and redresses some of the balance. It saves it slightly. I think those other outrun games were ported from the Atari ST rather than directly from the arcades, and I think that's where they went hideously wrong. But this one's good, I like it. Now talk about terrible arcade ports. Power Drift. The Amiga really couldn't cope with what they were trying to do here. A great arcade game. It works well on the Spectrum because they've toned it down. Here they tried to do a direct conversion, and boy has it suffered. Should have been an awesome game, Power Drift, but on the Amiga it ain't great. On some of the more technical tracks, a lot going on, it does your eyes in and you just don't know what the hell's going on. Some people would have liked it, not me. Power Drift. Double Dragon 2. Slightly improved over the first Double Dragon, although that wasn't difficult, and this one plays the best out of the 3. Somewhere short of the arcades again, but they're going in the right direction. Weapons to pick up. Although you can keep doing this same move to complete most of the game. But as I say, compared to the first game, this is a genius move. You can climb up ladders as well. There we go. Billy and Jimmy Lee you control in all 3 of the games. Ghouls and Ghosts, the sequel to the fantastic Ghosts and Goblins, which was a near-perfect arcade conversion on the Commodore Amiga. Ghouls and Ghosts I don't like quite as much. There seems to be something lacking with it. The music's not quite as good. But it's a good extension, not disappointing at all. It's just that Ghosts and Goblins set a really, really high standard. Ghouls and Ghosts is a good game in itself, but as I say, not quite as good. Can fire up now, Sir Arthur. His girlfriend's been kidnapped again. Horror Zombies from the Crypt, great soundtrack on this one, although the game isn't quite as good. Gothic horror at its best, taken in the vein of the horror movies. And now we've got to get past this zombie and then pick up a sword. But lots of weapons, numerous levels to solve. It's not quite a classic in my opinion. Something is lacking, but good graphics, great sound. Great sound by Prokofiev, this one. Amulets and Caplets, possibly. Can't quite remember what it's called. Double Dragon 3. The Rosetta Stone. The second one was called The Revenge. The graphics are by far the best on this one, although the gameplay is pretty much the same. All these games are better in 2 players, but Double Dragon 3, if I could have the graphics of Double Dragon 3 and the playability of Double Dragon 2, that would be absolutely perfect. But you can buy weapons from shops every now and again, and this one, shading is good. So, yeah, compared to Double Dragon 1, this is brilliant. Shadow Warriors, again converted from the arcades. A little bit flickery to me, doesn't look good when you compare it to Double Dragon 3 and the one before. It's okay-ish, better on the Sega systems than the Amiga, it has to be said. But yeah, wouldn't spend too long on this one. You're fighting lots of people in hockey masks. Yes. Is that Jason Voorhees perhaps influenced that one? Maybe. Fight, fight, fight! Now, the worst of the outruns by far. The original outrun on the Commodore Amiga, God knows what's going on here. Frame rate seems about 8 a second or something. Don't know where we're going. It's terrible. Terrible, terrible. The music is really, really good. Now, I played this on the Game Boy Advance and that just knocks this into another galaxy. Move on. It's an Atari ST port rather than an arcade port, and, you know, awful, awful game. Stinker. Maybe my top 10 stinkers. Now, this is a great game. Doesn't look like there's too much to it when you look at it like this, but it was a public domain game called Scorched Tanks, which is an evolution from that cover dish I showed you earlier on called Tanks. Up to 4 players. You can buy lots of different weapons, including this laser thing, improve your shields, but the idea of the game is to kill the other 2 opponents, or up to 3 opponents here. Select your elevation and the power and what weapon you want to do, but you can while the long hours with this one. It's like a get home from the pub type game. Days of Thunder, A very slow moving computer game based on the film Days of Thunder starring Tom Cruise as Cole Trickle, and it just moves too slowly to be a serious contender for racing games. Move on. It's trying to be a simulation, but there's multiple views you can select, and this is the only view worth bothering about, but just moves too slow. Ridiculously slow, in fact. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Awesome! If you had this, well done. By Psygnosis, and all their games are quality in the graphics and sound department. One gripe on this is the ship in this first stage is a bit too big for the screen, but you got that map next to you showing you where all the enemy are. Very varied, this game. You can go into hyperspace after this, different angles. You go through Meteor Storm as well, sort of like a chase view. Really good game, this one. Better with the cheat mode on because it is so difficult. Defender by Ratsoft. Don't think this was released as a commercial game. Might have been a public domain game, but heavily based on Defender, because it is Defender. I don't know how they got away with that name, but they've converted this really, really well. Defender's tricky at the best of times as you go over a random terrain, shoot all the enemy in this wave. You can see the map up the top there showing you where the enemy are. When you've killed all of them, you go on to the next wave, but you've got to stop them from kidnapping the people on the surface. Dogs of War, heavily influenced by Commando, and this was slightly better. Different missions, you control Rambo, and player 2 has a blonde-haired fellow. But multiple weapons you can get in the store by completing missions and getting your, well, money and cash. Plays really well, better with a cheat mode on because I'm so hopeless, but there's tactics, hide behind a building like this and kill everyone going fast. Now this is a granddaddy by Psygnosis. It's Shadow the Beast. Always used to go right before until people in a review told me to go left. So check that out, as I always go left now. But basically this Arbron, I think his name's been turned into a beast, and he must, well, change back again and rescue his family. These games, well done if you completed any of them. There was a second one and a third one. All of them as hard as nails, but atmospheric. Couldn't get much more atmospheric than this. Psygnosis were the kings back in their day. Battle Squadron, the sequel to Hybris. It does evolve from this. The graphics are absolutely gorgeous. Some people say it's better than Xenon 2. Well, it's tough for me. I might keep changing my mind. Lots moving on the screen. You can see the screen scroll slightly left and right as well to give you an influence of a bigger screen. Power-ups. It's really, really well done, this one. Really evolves off the original Hybris. Great stuff. Afterburner suffers from lack of frame rate. It's not really as good as some other computer consoles versions, but compared to Afterburner 2, which we'll come to by a different producer, this looks absolute genius. It holds together okay as a game if you've never seen the arcades before, and it'll give you a bit of a feel of Afterburner. It's not too bad. It's not too bad for a quick game. Batman the Movie by Ocean. There's a few Batman games circling around the Commodore Amiga by Ocean as well. But various stages on this one. It is good. You do get to drive the Batmobile and the Batcopter. There's some puzzle solving games as well. This first one is Axis Chemicals, where it's a platform game where you have to, well, find your way out basically. Really, really good. I prefer the Batmobile stage. That is a good one, based on Batman starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker. Now here's that Afterburner 2 I was telling you about. What's the frame rate on this? Virtually unplayable, although it does have speech in it, which is good. But the speech is pointless because it says enemy at 9 o'clock, and that means nothing to me. They're either coming at you from the front or the back, or not at all. They never come at you by the side. Move on, don't buy this game, buy Afterburner 1. Yes. A brilliant platform game this, a Turrican. Had a couple of sequels, a number of power-ups. It's great fun to play, a good learning curve, large levels to explore, isn't overly difficult, although I often make it look a lot more difficult than it really is. You're on some sort of cyborg planet, I think, where there used to be humans, but robots have taken over, and you have to go down as the Turrican Man and right all wrongs and rescue everything. Yes, machines got out of hand. Shadow of the Beast 2, One of the first games I played come actually with my Commodore Amiga as the starting bundle. Very tricky, but you must well, rescue everyone really by solving puzzles and stuff. There's chaps along the way like this bloke who'll give you clues on what to do, but you can kill him if you want. Great music on this one. This is a game I always remember. Shadow of the Beast 2. Brilliant stuff. Gauntlet 2, a fairly basic looking game. It's a maze type game from the arcades, but basically you know this sort of fare. You find a key and then find the exit. So level 1's fairly easy. Got a choice of 4 players, a wizard, an elf and a couple of other dudes which I can't quite remember, but gradually more difficult. A lot to keep you going here. Graphics as you would expect. You can fire axes if you are the warrior like me. Various different things. So quite a simple puzzle game. Turrican 2 evolved greatly on the first game as those Ed 209s come at me. Brilliant sound and graphics, although I did get done by a rather bogus copyright infringement. Someone said that, oh, the music. Naughty them. There's always an idiot about, isn't there, trying to be on the make. But a good game, Turrican 2. Haven't reviewed Turrican 3 yet because I fear that I might get done for the music copyright again. You really have to watch yourself nowadays, even on the retro games. A very inventive shoot 'em up, this one. It's a Dragon Spirit from the arcade. Instead of controlling your normal World War II plane or spaceship, it's this dragon with multiple heads. Power-ups, they've done well. On the Amiga version though, they've really mucked up putting that massive dragon in the scoreboard because it covers a lot of the screen and it's a little bit dark for some reason. I do not know why. But okay, not the best of shooters, but quite novel, so I give it a thumbs up for that. One of my favourite platforms ever, Chuck Rock, just because of the music and the fun graphics. Dinosaurs, it's in prehistoric times. Sequel was Son of Chuck, which I've also reviewed, so that might be included in games 50, well, 101 to 150 if we ever get that far. Pick up rocks, solve the puzzle, don't lose energy, good old Chuck. And your versus Gary Glitter, based on Gary Glitter, and the less said about that the better. Go Chuck! Awesome game, awesome music. Chips Challenge, another sort of like puzzle game, not much to it, but you have to collect keys, get through doors, a bit like Gauntlet, but a top-down version. It gets gradually more tricky, you get more obstacles to get past, like water and fire and so forth, but it gradually draws you in, about 140 or so levels. Also came out on the PC and lots of other systems. It's a very popular game, this one. Don't judge a book by its cover, it's good. Indie Heats, like, well, a 3D perspective racing game based on a whole season which culminates in the Indy 500, which you must win. So basically, come in the top 2 each time, I think. You can pit when your car is getting damaged, and they announce it as well. Upgrades you can buy after the end of each race, but plays really well, I think. In the vein of Super Sprint, but at an angle. Good game, they've done well as we start off in Illinois. Space Harrier, again from the arcades. So quite a few arcade conversions in this 51 to 100. This one plays quite well actually. I prefer the Game Boy Advance version, but won't keep going on about it. This is Amiga, and the speed wise it's good. We did have a look at Space Harrier 2, which we'll look at in a minute next, and that's not quite as good as this. Quite often with the sequels they're not, are they? Lots of different levels here. We're in the fantasy zone. Here we go, Space Harrier 2. Yes, and this is flickery. It's flickery and too fast. Maybe I've got it on the wrong mode, so I don't want to judge it down too much for that. But out of the two, I'd definitely be playing Space Harrier 1. This, yeah, it's juddering all over the shop. Good music though. Was Space Harrier 2 in the arcades? I'm not absolutely sure. I wouldn't put much money in it if it was like this. An absolute classic here, James Pond Undercover Agent or Underwater Agent. Each level is nicely drawn, and the title of it is based on a Bond film. We have to rescue the squid in this first one, but a really good game. Spawned a sequel, James Pond Robocod, and also James Pond 3 Operation Starfish, which we'll come to. Played a lot of hours on this game. Nice and gentle, nice and fun. And this is the 100th game we looked at, Data Storm. It's like based on Defender with a little bit extra added. You have to collect the wheels here and put them in this sort of like this column here. On the review, I didn't know what the hell I was doing and did it all wrong, but now I know better. So we'll correct it for this quick 30-second stint. Good. There we go. So I hope you're liked having a look at that again. Another trip down nostalgia lane. That was Amiga Games Reviewed 51 all the way through to 100. And we'll keep reviewing them. As long as you're watching them, we'll keep reviewing them. So thanks for watching as always. Until next time, goodbye.
Goodbye.